recording, and I want to respect everybody's time. So welcome to our webinar on using the Canvas tool within Logos 10. I'm so glad you're here, and if you're watching after the fact, catching it on a replay, hopefully within the circle, then thank you for doing that, and thank you for being a part of the community here. So, two brief words before we get going. The first is I want to talk about Logos Daily for just a brief second. Hopefully you're here because you're already a member of Logos Daily, but if you're not a member of the circle at Logos Daily, I highly encourage you to do it. We've got two different tiers. Free plan, which gets you access to the community, and what Logos Daily is, it's a community of really curious students of the Bible who use Logos to study God's Word. And so if that includes you, it's for everybody from people just starting out with the software, maybe new in their faith, all the way to people who've been a Christian for a long time, seasoned people with the software. It's really a community of people who want to know God's Word better and use Logos to do that. So if that's you, Logos Daily, the circle, is absolutely fantastic. There's two plans. A free one gets you access to the community, but then there's a second one, a pro level, which is $10 a month, and I think Jason has opened it up now to where you can buy a membership for a year, which saves you a little bit of money. And when you do that, you get access. So we do these webinars every so often. We upload videos every week. You have access to coaches, courses, just a whole lot. And I encourage you to go to logosdaily.com to find out more information and sign up. And then if you have any questions, just reach out through the website. They'll be happy to help. But you do get just a community and then all the training material that I don't think you find anywhere else. So that's pretty cool. The second thing is I recently started a venture called preacherprep.com, and our purpose is we want to help preachers and really anybody use Logos Bible software, but I have a heart for preachers and preaching. And so preacherprep.com, and I send out a weekly email with all the trainings that I put out the previous week on the website and our YouTube channel. And I send out subscriber-only content. So if you're interested in getting stuff that's not available anywhere else except in the email, then I encourage you to go to preacherprep.com, sign up on the right-hand side. You'll get the weekly roundup on Friday mornings, and you'll be good to go. All right, so with that out of the way, let's talk about the Canvas tool. The Canvas tool, I feel like, is one of those features within Logos that I don't hear talked about a lot. And what it is, in your Bible, and I'm going to grab my Bible right here. In your Bible, I hope it doesn't make me disappear. It probably will. But this is like a wide margin Bible where sometimes I write notes in the wide margin. Canvas, I think, does a couple things. But the thing it does really well is it acts like the wide margin of your Bible. The downfall is it's not going to show up like when you open up your Bible in Logos, but you're really able to see a visual representation. You're able to visually manipulate the text, not to change the meaning, but it's a different way of thinking through information. And so that's what Canvas is in a nutshell. And before we get into how to use it, I want to show you really three different use cases that you might be interested in thinking through as you might want to use Logos. So three use cases. The first one, so these are examples, hopefully pique your interest, and then you'll be able to say, yeah, that's something I think I could add to my rotation. All right, let me get out of the way. All right, so this is a canvas I created, and notice I've got down here four different tiles, four different pages to this Canvas document. I created these for a Sunday school class I was teaching in the book of Revelation. And this is a pretty simple one. This is just text. You could do this in PowerPoint or Pro Presenter pretty easily. But I did a one-page visual theology for Revelation 15. And so this is one example that you can use in your putting together a canvas. Let me get rid of all the stuff. So over here on the left-hand side, we have the text. This is Revelation 15. And then I noticed there was an inclusio, which is a device. If you can see in verse 1, it says, "The wrath of God is finished." It is bracketed at the very end when it says 7 angels were finished. So I wanted to point that out to the people. I connected things through colors. I used an info card because we get that word victorious, which is the Greek word Nike. So preachers, since the beginning of time, has always used like a Nike illustration within there, but you're able to pull in info cards, interpretive insight, and application that I just copied and pasted from a resource. But something that was visually appealing as a one page that I printed out on an 8.5 by 14, kind of a standard size sheet of paper. And you can, in here, we'll talk about, you can choose what size of paper you want. But that I was able to print off and then give to people as they came into Sunday school. And so it's just like a visual representation, a way to think through the text. So this is one example that you can use to build a canvas. You could take a passage, which I think is how it works best when you're thinking through a passage. The next thing you can do is, anybody familiar with mind mapping? If you're not familiar with mind mapping, it'd be worth at some point to do like a Google search for mind mapping. There's all sorts of apps out there for it. But mind mapping, instead of thinking in a linear way where you're like point 1, point 2, point 3, mind mapping lets you take a central idea and almost the legs of an octopus or the legs of a spider, kind of map out your idea in a non-linear thinking. So let me pull up. This is one I put together today. So it's not the most polished, but in this instance, it doesn't have to be, because it would be something that I would just see. But I may want to preach from like a one-page mind map document. There are preachers and teachers who do this sort of thing. So what we have here is we've got Luke 15 in the center, which begins my mind map. So my passage would be on Luke 15, and you can type in any of these boxes, whatever you want to do. And so in Luke 15, you've got 3 stories, 3 pericopes. So I put those 3 stories in 3 different connected sections. So the story of the lost sheep, the story of the lost coin, and the story of the lost son. So Jesus, it's a great chapter in Luke 15. The Pharisees are grumbling about Jesus eating with sinners. And then Jesus tells this beautiful collection of stories that all of heaven, that God's joy is overwhelming when someone comes home, that he spends more in each of the story, the father, the lady who lost the coin, and the shepherd who lost the sheep. Each of those people spent more on the party than it actually cost them of what they lost. And so like the extravagance of God's joy when someone comes home. And so I've got these 3. These would kind of be my main points if I was preaching through that whole chapter, which would be overwhelming to do in one sermon, but there they are. And then you can connect like boxes or other circles or other things. So if I was fully fledging out this mind map, I would have multiple circles. So I would have like a box for an illustration, a box for something I wanted to be noted for, like something I wanted to, maybe a word that I wanted to pull out from that text. And then here on the left-hand side, I pulled in 3 verses from each of the 3 different sections. And I used a highlighter to highlight the words rejoice in verse 6, 9, and then the word verse celebrate in verse 32, because that's a theme that we find in Luke chapter 15, is the celebration of God. And then what I did is for my, just so you can see kind of again how it works, I did an info card right here, and there's a little line that connects when you drop one of these in, connected to that word rejoice. And with the Canvas tool, it is all automatic. You just click it and it drops in, and then you can move it wherever you want. So if you're the kind, so like this would be good if I was a preacher who preached from an outline and maybe not a manuscript, and I'd heard about mind mapping, which is kind of in that realm for those who do public speaking in that way. This tool can be used to do this. And Jason, what is the name of Tanner's channel? Is it Pastor Tanner? I think that's it.
Yeah, Pastor Tanner.
Yeah, if you do.
Tanner Thetford. I'll drop it in the chat also.
Yeah, so he's got a great YouTube channel, and he does stuff like this. And so you can do a deep dive with him on kind of how to put together a mind map. So that's the first way is doing like a one sheet for your Sunday school class. Any of these that you make can be turned into graphics, which at the end, what we're going to make a graphic of a canvas that we're going to make and then upload it to a note, but you can export it to PowerPoint, Presenter, Proclaim, all that stuff. So that's the second. This is the second way, would be to do a mind map. And then the third kind of use case that I want to show you would be within, this is what someone else had made. This is a chart that someone had made with atonement theories. And so if someone's really into theology, you're able to kind of go see the different atonement theories, and they're all right there. So I hope that's not a hot button issue on a Monday night in Logos Daily, but it is there. So that's another thing that you can do, is to be able to make charts. And another one I've got that I didn't put in the demo stuff, but I think it's kind of cool, is this literary context of the Bible. So, which was kind of cool. So on the outside, it's color coded. Has Bible, Testament, the author corpus, the book, the discord structure, the pericope, paragraph, sentence, clause, phrase, word. So how the whole text kind of connects at different levels, and then to see those color coded. And then this would be a perfect example of something you might want to throw up into, export it as a graphic, and then put it into a slide. And so, all right, so those are three use cases just to think about. Would be a sermon, or like a one sheet for somebody, a sermon, or like a chart. And if you've got any ways that you've used it outside of those, please put those in the chat so we can always learn from one another. And I'm going to open up the chat. And then let's go to, let's actually open up a canvas. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a canvas based on Jude 1 through 2. It's going to be a little bit rudimentary, but I want to just go through a brief overview of all the tools that you'll need in a Canvas document to create something like I'm going to create. And then I want to export it and upload it to a note that I will then anchor to Jude 1 through 2. So that I'll always have that graphic available as a visual representation of things that I want to connect within the text. So to open up a canvas, to start a new one, you're going to go to your document menu, which is right here. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to make sure up at the top, I'm going to go to where it says new. I'm going to click on new, and then it's going to open up a Canvas document. One of the things you're going to want to note is that a Canvas document is always going to open up as a separate panel. This is really helpful if you're using multiple monitors, because you can have your Canvas open on one monitor and then like your Bible and some study stuff that you want on the other to help form your canvas. And so if you want to dock it, the way to do it is just right click on it, dock this tab, and then it's docked, and we're going to make it a one-page thing. And so there is our canvas. Up at the top, we have our kind of top tier toolbar, which is right here. The 100% is going to zoom the size of the canvas to whatever size you need to. So if you need to get in there and see the detail, you can zoom in, but you can also say, hey, I just want to fit the page, or I want to fit the window. I usually go down depending on the size of the monitor. So there at 75%. I generally like to see the whole canvas if I'm doing a document like this. We can go up a little bit larger. And then up here we have like increase and decrease size. So it's connected to this menu, the zoom, but you can zoom in, zoom out with those magnifying icons right here. Next to that, you have redo and is it undo? Basically have back and forth buttons. So if you do something and you want to get rid of it, you can like undo it, and then you're like, I made a mistake, I got to bring it back. You can redo it. Your computer kind of shortcuts work too. So like Control X is that the Control Z? One of those, whatever it is, deletes it. Whatever you normally use to delete stuff, and the delete button works when you have something selected here. So you have that. This insert passage, we're going to come back to this, but this is really, to me, like the bread and butter of how to use Canvas is to insert a passage, and then you're able to visually, it's perfect for like diagramming. We could have talked about that too, but you're able to diagram a text. This is where you add that reference, and you can add multiple references with not in one click, but you have to do it multiple times, and you can choose your whatever translation you want. So Logos really has a great focus on that. And then you have the draw tool, which I'm going to add. I thought I would. Maybe I need to go up. Maybe we want to be a different color. Let's see if this works. There we go. So as a side note, I'm a awful drawer, but I'm a pretty good doodler. So that's just as a side note tonight. But you can, this is really good if you use Canvas on an iPad. You can mark up if you've got like an Apple Pen, that sort of thing, or pencil. You're able to use it. I don't use this much at all. I'm going to discard all that. But if you want to draw on the text, you're able to do that. So that's the top tier. And over here on the right, we have a share button. So you're able to share that to, you can make it public. You can share it to a specific Faith Life group. Right here, this button is going to, it has several functions. One, this has like the broad level for the document. So we're going to go ahead and say, I'm going to name this Jude 1 through 2. And then it's going to ask you questions. Hopefully they're fairly self-explanatory. Like, do you want a grid? And I'm going to say, on this one, I don't want a grid. So all those grid lines got taken away. If you get rid of page view, you have this wide, expansive canvas that you can play with. I like having the page view because for me, I'm going to either print it or export it to a like a JPEG, a graphic. And so I'm pretty particular about the size. So, and then you could change the background if you want. So you could like have color, all sorts of different colors, whatever you want. For our purposes, I'm going to keep white. And then you have some options of connection arrows, connection points, guides, and I will show you what those mean as we go along. And then down here, you're able to change what kind of paper size to a custom paper size, all that stuff. But that's this one is the document kind of settings. There it is. It's like the document settings for the canvas, for whatever canvas you're working on. And this is the Jude 1 through 2. And then on the right-hand side, you have the normal kind of Logos stuff. So except you get export as images. So when we get to the point where we want to export what we're about to make, we're going to export it as an images and then the normal stuff that you have within Logos. On the left-hand side, you have this left-hand column. Everything like in Logos, you can get rid of this menu. So I got rid of that menu by getting rid of those 3 lines, and I can bring it back up. Over here, I can get rid of this menu, but I'm going to keep that one up because when we add stuff here, this is going to change. This lets you add stuff. So on the left-hand side, this is what you can add to the canvas. This stuff on the right-hand side lets you manipulate. So like how do you change the font? How do you change the color? How do you make connection lines, different colors or different sizes? You do all that in this this side over here, but the left-hand side, you get to add stuff. So up here, we have our favorite shapes. And if you read that, maybe you've tried this and it says drag shapes here. And you said, Ryland, I have tried to drag my shapes here forever and Logos is broken. What do? It's misleading when it says drag shapes here. You're not dragging stuff from your sections down here. What you're doing is once it is on the canvas, so to get something on the canvas, all you do is click it. So once it's on the canvas, then you drag it over to where it says drag shape here, and then it stays in your favorites. So if you ever drag something into your favorites and you're like, it's not working, don't get frustrated. It's a little misleading when it says drag the items there. They have to be on the canvas before they can go into your favorites. And if you ever want to remove things from your favorites, you click edit and then just get rid of it, save, and then it's gone. But this is really helpful if you're going to have like text boxes that you like to use, highlighting stuff that you like to use, or if you're just working on a Canvas document, you can always, and you know it's going to be repeated, you can always save those into your favorites and have them at the ready. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete that. So underneath underneath the favorites is the info cards. Once we add a verse, this information is all going to change. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add Jude 1 through 2. Just like this. I've got it as the New American Standard Bible, but you can have whatever translation you want. When I click to add canvas, it automatically shows up, and you can move it around on your page just by having it, clicking it, and moving it around. So we're actually going to drop it down like that. Now, when I click on a word, so I'm going to click on the word called. Notice here the info card section, all that changes. So now we have, and all I did was click on it. So we've got, looks like Kletos. We've got that. We could add this called, and we can move it around. And notice how those lines are automatically connected to the word called. So it makes it very simple just to drop something in there. But note, these all change based upon what word you have clicked in the actual text. So when I click on the word Christ, all that information changes. So we get a couple things. We get the Bible word ring. We get the original language info. We get the person information, biographical information about the person, and then we get a word lookup. For me, it comes from the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary. I don't know where it would come for you, but you'll have information in there depending on what word you click. So I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, you need to watch out for that. If you add info cards, the connecting lines do not automatically go with them if you delete them. You have to delete both of those things together. But you have info cards, you have highlights, and highlights is as easy as clicking on it and then moving it onto the word called, and then making it go down. And then you can always right click on whatever you're trying to do and duplicate. So now we've got another one, and we could say, hey, I want that on the word beloved, like that. And we need to make that just a little bit bigger, and I'm actually need to do that well. I want to go in like that. So you're able to use these highlights to go over the text. And notice when I click on something here, let's go back to this right hand side. When I click something over here, it's going to ask me different questions. This menu manipulates what we have clicked in here. So if I click on just the broader verse, and it's got bookended with these blue lines, so I know I'm on the broader section. Do that again. There we go. Over here, it's going to ask us all sorts of things, like on the text. What font do you want it? So we could change the font to Garamond. We could change the font to Courier New. So that this manipulates on the right hand side. This manipulates whatever you have clicked within the canvas itself. We want to go back to. I want to go back to default. And then we want to, that one got moved. So let me back up just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to delete these. So, but hopefully everyone sees that. Anytime you click on it, you're going to be able to manipulate the information over here in the menu. So underneath the highlights, you've also got basics. So these are just some basic stuff, like you could do a text box, which I'm actually going to not use right now, but I want to come back to it. You can add links. So if you add links, if you print them, publish them, you're not going to be able to use those links on printed paper. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. But if you use Canvas documents for personal study, this is a great place that you might have a link to another resource within Logos. You might want to create a list of 5 books that you want to read about a particular verse and have a reading list connected to that verse. You might want to create a Canvas document if you're at a liturgical church with a canvas for each station of the cross, and have station one of the passages for the first station of the cross, and then maybe some prayers that are linked to resources within Logos. And you could just have 12 different, or however many stations your church has, to have 12 different pages, because we can create new pages down here at the bottom within this document for the different things. So that's another way that you might want to use. So if you can use links, you have these different shapes. And again, when you're clicked on this, you're able to manipulate the shape. So we're going to make it that color. And we want to go back to that. We want to, so that will do the font right there. We want to go to the style. That's where we want to fill it. So we can change the different colors. When we're in this, we can change like the, I hope I say this right. I'm not a graphic guy. Opacity. Did I say that right, Jason? Okay. All right. Woo. So, but you can put a color over something and change, like we'll go down on this and then drag it over there so you can have in a way like a highlighting. You can somehow make it visually appealing for you, but anything you drop here is going to be manipulated over here. Underneath the basic, you have the lines and arrows. So, and everything is draggable. Let's say we want to make this empty again, and we want to rotate this like this. We want to drag it like this. We want to make it skinny. If you've ever used like canva.com, very similar to this. But you're able to manipulate any of these shapes to any size that you want by clicking on them on the points like this one. Notice I've got these different points that are all the way around. You just grab one of them and you can do whatever you want to make the shape and put it wherever you want to within the document. Underneath the lines and arrows, you have hand drawn. So these do not mean that you're going to hand draw information, but they are they're kind of lines and arrows that look a little bit more hand drawn, which can add a nice touch to. I've used those before, like I used those in the Revelation document. You have shapes, so you can add certain shapes that you want. I use these for like the mind map that we showed earlier. And then on that, we have the text. So you're able to add different text stuff. And again, anything you do here is going to be manipulated over here based on what you have clicked. So that's a brief overview. It's getting close to 8 o'clock, so let's go ahead and start building our document. The way you can manipulate the text within Logos, it's a fat canvas. It's a fantastic diagram tool because watch what I can do. I've got the text here. The first thing I can do is you can delete words. So this title automatically was showed up in this. I want to get rid of it. I'm going to click on these words. So what I'm doing is I'm holding down the Shift key and making sure all those words are selected. I hit delete and then it's gone. So you're able to delete words within the Canvas tool. So when you like import a section of scripture and it's got those titles, you can take those out. The next thing you can do is, like we've got 2 verses here, you're able to separate the verses very easily. I'm going to make sure I've got the number 2 selected. I'm going to hold down on it, and then I'm going to just drag verse 2 down. So what's happening is anytime you click on a word within the text, it's automatically going to separate. So like if I click on this word peace, now everything after peace is moving with us. That makes it very easy if you're ever doing a diagram and Paul has one of his famous like 900 word run-on sentences because he loved English grammar so much. You're able to manipulate it and have like the and ... and ... and have it in a list way that is visually appealing. You can also, when you're in the text, I've got, let's make sure we're on this. These are still connected, so even though we've separated, we can move them wherever. If you want to make them larger in the document, you can just like not larger, but if you need to change how it's laid out, you can just grab that and make it as big as the document. I actually, for our purposes, want to make sure, let me scroll to like 75%, and because we're going to add some things here. So I'm going to take this 2 again. Let me scroll back in a little bit, and I'm going to bring this down here, and then I'm going to take this 1 because I'm going to add a title to this like that. And I want to add some info cards, which will hopefully be pretty cool. All right, so we've got Jude 1 and 2 right there. And to me, these are like the 2 verses that have triplets. So we have the word called. So I'm going to click on that word called. I'm going to go to my info section, and I'm going to add the original language info panel. I'm going to drag that up right there. Notice it did all the things. And let's say I want to make this line a little bit bigger. So right now it's dotted. but I'm manipulating on the right-hand side. I'm going to go to a straight line, and I want to change that color to red. So I'm going to just click on the red there, apply, and notice that it automatically changed to red. So that's the first word, is called. It's called, beloved, and kept. Next word, I'm going to click on beloved. Notice over here, the info card section changed. I'm going to do the same thing, add original language info. I'm going to add it right there. I want to take this and do the same thing. I want to add a solid line in red right underneath the text. And then we've got this word kept. So I'm going to click on kept. I'm going to add the original language card. I'm going to drop it up there because I want it together. And if you ever need to make it like have the grid so you can make sure things are lined up, this is not lined up very well. But if you ever need to, you can add the grid like that, and then you'll be able to get really, if it's a presentation type thing and you want to make it look good. I'm just using this for me, for our example, so I'm not that concerned about it. But I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to make sure this goes back to a solid line in red. But do you notice how it says kept for Jesus Christ and it's on top? It almost looks like it is covering it up. I want to do at least one thing. I'm going to right click on that line and I'm going to go send to back. And that didn't show up very well. So what I'm actually going to do, let me get back on that line. I'm going to take that line and drag it down just a little bit. So you can manipulate those lines in the canvas so that they're not over the text. Now, I've got these three cards, but I want to make them pop a little bit. So I'm going to come back over here to the left-hand side to the highlight section, and these are pre-chosen colors. But I'm going to choose the one closest to red. I'm going to use I'm colorblind. I think this is orange. So I'm going to use this orange one. And I'm going to make this a little bigger just so I can do it well. I'm going to put it over called. Like this. I'm going to right click because I kind of, that size is pretty close to what I want. I'm going to put this one over beloved. Make it just a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Duplicate it. And go to kept. Now, I want to do the same thing for this. So now we have mercy, peace, and love. So I'm going to click on mercy. I'm going to go to the info card, add the original language. I'm going to drag that up just a little bit because we are getting close. Actually, what I want to do is grab all that and then go up just a little bit. And grab this one up a little bit and there we go. Get off that page. All right, I'm going to make sure this one is a solid line. And then I'm going to come to this word peace. Put it in there. Come to this other. Make sure that line is solid. And then I want to do the same thing. Well, first, because I noticed that line is somewhat down, I want to drag it down. Now it's not over the text right there, it's beneath. I want to do the same thing on the word love with this mercy, peace, and love. And I'm going to put this right here. And then I'm going to make sure this line is down just a little bit. And another thing that I want to show you before I drag it down, you've got here where you have this info card and you have this line that's going on it. You can have different layers. So like, let's say we want to make that line go beneath. So I'm going to send that to the back, and then notice the card is now over that line. So it can be a little bit more visually appealing. I'm going to take this line, drag it down so it's not on any of the text, and then make that solid is what I want to do. Okay, so we have, and then let's also just, we're going to add some highlights to these words real quick. Right there, like that. We'll do blue on mercy. And I want to duplicate it. Add one on peace. I want to duplicate that. I have now, can be a little tricky, like grabbing stuff, and which makes it helpful to zoom in. Because if you're not careful, you'll be grabbing stuff and be all sorts of in interesting places. Now I want to add a title just to make this look a little bit better. So I'm going to go down here to text where it has title. I'm going to add a title, and I'm going to call this triplets in Jude 1 through 2. And then I want to come over here. I want to change my font. Oh, over here, there's like the heading menu that you can do to add stuff, normal font stuff. But I want to, let's say we'll go, make sure all that is selected. Go to some sort of, we'll just choose one more. I had one earlier today that I really liked. Droid. But I don't remember what it was. We'll do that one. And then what we're going to do, we're going to make it just a little bit bigger, and we're going to change the color. Let's make this like a nice dark blue purple. And then we're going to take this, make sure we've got it selected, scroll up, drag it up here, and then I want to make sure it is the right size. So we've got that selected. I'm going to make this just a lot larger. Drag it over a little bit. And then the last thing I want to do is I'm going to go to basic. I want to add a line. Drag this line. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Is it the... Let me zoom in. This is where it's helpful to zoom in. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, come on. Is that going to do it now? There we go. All right. See, it takes just a little bit. And then we're going to make this. I want to do a line underneath this. Like that. And then, yeah, so I will spend hours stressing over that not being equal, so we want to move on. But there you can get an idea of, like, you can add just a little bit of stuff to make it look good. So let's go out just a little bit, and then we're going to export this and load this up into a note. Let me drag this down just a little bit. I think that would be good. All right, so we've got this, and you could like write questions you have over these things, but here you're able to see we've got different words highlighted with info cards, and you can do all the things. So let's export this, and I'm going to export this. We'll crop that and just click export. It's going to ask me in a minute how I want to save it, so I'm going to say on the desktop, we'll just do Jude 1 through 2 like that as a PNG file. Now I want to close out because everything automatically saves. I'm going to open up my Bible. I'm in Jude 1 through 2. I'm going to highlight this, and quick shortcut, if you click on N, it's going to open up an automatic, it's going to open up a new note for you. And then what I want to do is I want to add the graphic in here anchored to this text. So I'm going to set this to my Bible notes because that's what this would function as. I'm going to click on this Insert Media icon right here. I'm going to find, it's going to ask me to upload it once the add image comes up. So I'm going to add, I actually made one earlier that I will upload to show you too because I was practicing with it. There it is. All right, so I'm going to add that one in here. I want to insert it. And then what we just made now shows up in a note anchored to this text, but we actually want to change this so that it really stands out. So let's say we're going to add that one to our picture, and we will make this one, we'll do red because that's what the other stuff was. So let me get out of the notes, and notice here in this visual filter, I've got that little icon. When I click on it, it's going to open up that note and go straight to the canvas that we just made. And so, yeah, so that in a brief nutshell, we still got people coming in, let me admit them. That in a brief nutshell is the Canvas tool. Y'all have been troopers for the last 40 minutes. That has gone on too quickly. But here's what I want to do is I love to talk about Canvas and Logos, and I want to find out how other people are doing it. And it's getting on to be 8:10 for me, 9:10 for some of you all. Please join the circle and we can start a conversation about how y'all are using the Canvas tool. The best way that we grow is when we learn from one another, and we're all just students. We're all just learning. So join the circle. And Kathleen, if you had a question, just feel free to keep putting questions in the chat, and we'll address those. But as you think about the Canvas, you may not think about it tonight, but you may wake up in the middle of the night, as we often do, and think, oh, I've got this great way to use the Canvas tool. Please tell us about it, because we want to be able to use it and to replicate it. And may not be a tool you need, but hopefully it might be something that has spurred you on to say, yeah, that's something I can do. So Kathleen did have a question. She was just clapping, and I love that. And so, all right, Jason, anything else? Did I cover it all?
Yeah, that was a lot. And I mean, do you, if there are any questions that are popping in folks' mind here at the close of our time together, feel free to drop them in the chat. But no, I don't have anything else. I thought that the anchoring was a nice bonus tip. I didn't know you were going to throw that in there, so I'm glad you did.
So, and here's another. I appreciate that. Here's another one I made that was earlier. There's the font that I found that I really liked, and I titled it something different. But so the one thing when I work with the Canvas tool, it's not an automatic thing, and it takes a few minutes to do it. So if you're in a hurry that it's going to be like a 2-minute, 3-minute deal, and you need something a little bit complicated, it's okay that it's just not automatic. It takes a little bit of time. Don't be frustrated if you click on something and you actually grab the wrong thing. And if you move it, just stop what you're doing, hit Control Z, and it'll go straight back to normal, or hit the redo button and it'll go straight back to where you were before. You can't break it. And if you do, the people at Logos want to know. And so, cause they want it to get fixed. So
it kind of feels like when you're just getting started, it feels like you're learning to write with the other hand. I feel like it's a little like awkward at first. And so you can take your time with it.
Can I show one more thing? Cause I forgot about this. All right,
I suppose so.
All right, let me pull this up, because this is pretty important. So what we've got is, and I'm gonna add a text box. All right, just yeah, I'll add this text box. I'm gonna drag this up here, and we got several things going on. So it doesn't matter what's in this box. I'm gonna keep it as text just for our time. You've got, when you're on this box, you're going to have these 4 different triangles. When you click one, it's going to add a similar thing, and it's going to create an arrow. And like that arrow, again, if I click on the arrow and you're like, I don't like that arrow, you click on the arrow, you come over to the menu on the right, and you can manipulate it and change it to what you want. So that's one thing. The other thing is when you have your mic hovered over one of these boxes, whatever it is, it's maybe hard to see, but you're going to have these small little X's. If I grab one, it's going to create an arrow. So I just clicked on that. And then all of these different things that I've added have those same little X's. So now you're able to make connections between the different things. And so that's a pretty important thing to do. And we got a question if you can upload pics to Canva. You cannot. So that is one of the things. It's really designed for, in my opinion, to work for things like this with the text. It's not a photo manipulation like Canva or a light version of Photoshop or any of that. It's really, in my mind, meant to be used with the text. Think of like a wide margin Bible. Put your text. You can diagram it there, sermon stuff there, add it to a note. The one downside for me is it's not going to go into my Bible, and so for me the workaround is to export it as an image and anchor it to a note. That makes it a little bit more useful. But good question.
Tito had asked, and I don't know if you ever use iPad. Rylan, do you? Would you be able to answer his question there? The question is essentially, can you anchor on iPad as well? So what Rylan demonstrated, Tito, is adding an image and then anchoring it within a note. And so, yes, you can add anchors to your notes on iPad, and then you could do the same thing that way. So I could drop I can drop a link inside a chat here to explain that.
And I just realized I was showing something while my fat head was on the screen. So, but there it is. Those just little, look for those little X's and grab it and drag it. I mean, you can drag it over to these words like that, and then you can take this line and manipulate it so that it's not in the way, and you can do all sorts of things. Well, that's all I've got, and I don't have a Google Meet Premium account, so they're telling me we got to get off. Really
This
appreciate
is
y'all.
solid. Thanks so much, Rylan.
Yeah, really appreciate y'all. Please keep going in the circle. The more of us that comment and talk and ask questions and share things, I guarantee if you have a question, someone else has the same question. So thanks for dropping that link in, Jason. And yeah, I just look forward to seeing y'all around the circle. And God bless.